Yeah, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
All right, guys, happy Tuesday. Hope everybody is doing great. Welcome back to the show. We're just going to do a quick little, well, I don't know how quick it'll be. It depends on how many questions you have, but a recap of where we're at since I hadn't visited with you guys in a few days. Thank you for joining in. Give people a couple minutes to get in the live stream here. It is Tuesday night. Hopefully you're safe and in your home. Go ahead and pour yourself a drink. Let's have a little bit of fun while we talk about facts and financials. I'm going to grab a paper towel here real quick. Nothing close in reach. Let a few more people get in the stream. Welcome, everybody. We have a couple guests that are joining tonight, or at least one, maybe a couple, maybe some call-ins. We'll see how tonight goes. I see Corax. Corax just joined in the back room. Let me go ahead and bring him in. The Honorable Mr. Corax, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Let me switch over to the headset so we don't get any feedback. That would be disastrous. Let me see, audio output.
While he is, let's see, I see we got almost 100 people in the chat. While he's getting his audio set up, just to go over a few things about this channel. If this is your very first time here, my approach to this play at this point is like it or not, it doesn't really matter to me, but I just want you guys to know where I'm coming from. We're not in 2021 anymore. We don't have $2 billion in the bank anymore. I'm analyzing this play based on the financials and the fundamentals. And not everybody agrees with that, and that's fine. You're all still welcome here. Just be nice to each other in the chat. Be nice to the guests. Yeah, you don't have to be nice to me, but you might not be able to chat if you can't be nice. We welcome any of your questions, no matter which side you agree with. It's sad that we even have sides. Like, I don't care if you hold AMC, APE, or both. We are all stakeholders in the company. And we all have the same end goal. At least most of us do.
Or even just as general investors, we have the same goal.
Yeah, to make money and to not lose money. Just to be clear, because I know there's a lot of people lying about me every day. I'm not paid by anybody. Take me to court, search my computer, whatever you want. I'm here on my own time to educate you guys, to help you separate the clickbait and the emotion from the facts and the fundamentals. Obviously, I am the latter. If you like clickbait and emotion, there's 50 other channels for my one that you can go get your daily fill of that. And Corax also approaches things from a fact-based perspective, which is why he's here tonight. And I'm probably going to try and let him talk more than me, but I just wanted to get those few things out of the way. I know this, I see this bubbling up again. Oh, people are being paid. Guys, I barely talk to anybody else in this whole movement, but on the rare occasions where I have talked to anyone, I have never gotten the indication that someone is getting paid. People's minds change sometimes as they analyze a long, slow-moving play. And so sometimes you might see people change their direction on how they analyze things or how they're approaching it. But hey, if someone's getting paid and they're not disclosing it, that's a SEC violation, and they should be subject to the full penalties of the law. I'm not being paid by anybody. How about you, Corax? Anybody paying me?
I wish I could get paid. Someone tell me where that paycheck is, and I will be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk first about schedule. Let me see. Yeah, I want to talk about schedule. I had it up here on the screen. I'm going to, yeah, that'll work. We have us down in the corner. So we're going to talk about the postcards and objections very briefly, because we've already done this, just a high level pass. And then really what I want to talk about is what's happened in the court for the last week.
And the schedule is going to be important considering some of the motions that are currently pending.
Yeah, so let's run through the schedule real quick, and then we'll talk more about the details behind this. If you're going to object, you have till May 31st. A lot of people are waiting on postcards. You don't need to wait on the postcards to object. Everything that's on the postcard is already out there, and I'll show you exactly where to find that information. If you want to object, or if you want to write a letter in support, either way, that's your right. And I just want to make sure you have the correct information. Those are all due by May 31st. Then the plaintiffs and the defendants, as you can see here, by June 7th, will file briefs responding to any objections. Now, some of the objections they're already responding to, but that's the deadline. Then June 21st, depending on the number of objections, the special master will file a report and recommendations no later than June 21st. And as we've seen, and as we're going to talk about tonight, she's on those pretty much as they're coming in. But that's the final deadline for her. And then if anybody that objected has any problem with something she said by the 21st, the final exceptions are due by June 28th. And then the hearing is on the 29th and 30th. There has been one proposal that was filed in the last day or so asking the judge to push the May 31st date for objections out. What was it, correct? Like June 7th?
They want to push it out 2 more weeks, which would make it out to June 14th.
Yeah, so the judge or the special master, to my knowledge, has not responded to that yet. I don't know.
I have seen rumors of one of the other parties responding in part opposition to it, but that's stuff that I've just heard blowing on the wind.
Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm just guessing here, but I think the judge is going to want to keep things on schedule.
Right. Like if they wanted to extend it a week, you might have been able to fit it in because, you just moved the June 7th response down to the 14th, and that still gives the special master time and keeps things going. But if you want 2 weeks, that seems that begs the question. Okay, well, now we got to move back the plaintiff's response, and then we got to move back the special master, and at that point then you got to move back the hearing, and it's just like, weren't we on a timetable here?
Yeah, I mean, everything's possible, right? You never know. But from what I've seen, they're trying to keep it on schedule. So if something changes with the schedule, we'll let you know. As far as the postcards, I'm going to put up a quick poll in the chat and see who's gotten their postcard yet. Have you received your postcard? And what I want to say about the postcards is if you own a share of AMC, you should be getting a postcard. There is no due by date on the postcard, right? There's not a date by which you must have it. So let's go through the dates on the postcards yet. Let's go through the dates on the postcards real quick. The documentation when they were setting up the process in one of the briefs said that they expected that everyone should have them around the 24th. That's not a drop dead, like you must have it by the 24th. There was the filing of the order, and then they hired this company that I have listed in the bottom left, Strategic Claims Services. Let me put their website up here for you. This is the company that is sending out the postcards. It's not AMC. It's not your broker. I have their phone number on there if you want to jot it down, and their email if you want to check on your postcard. But the process was they were to immediately contact ComputerShare and get a list of all the shareholders. That would be anybody who DRS'd plus the brokers. The brokers are listed as shareholders. And then most of you as beneficial owners are under your brokers. So if once the broker got the notice from SCS, they had 5 days to get your name, address, and email back to SCS. Then whenever they got that back to them, SCS had 5 more business days to mail out, almost 4 million postcards. So I don't know what all happened in those 10 business days, how fast everything came in, how slow things came in, but I would expect that most of you should get your postcards this week, because by my calculations, those 5 business days plus 5 business days kind of got them to around the 15th or 16th of May. Corax, do you have any thoughts on that?
It sounds like about accurate to me, because as far as the whole sending out the letter saying this is all new business to me, so it sounds like you did the legwork on that one. That'd been an aspect that I know has been gestating really hard in the community, but I haven't really.
And at the end of the day, guys, if you're on YouTube or Twitter,
you already know,
or any sort of social media, you're not going to get any information on a postcard that you don't already know about. There's a lawsuit. The postcard's a lawsuit notification with instructions on how to file an objection. That's been posted since May 5th.
Yeah.
So you don't need to wait for your postcard. If you want to object, you can go right here to AMC Investor Relations, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and there's this link right here, stockholder litigation information, and everything you need, including the latest, all the latest discovery and plaintiff's brief, defendant's brief, everything, public information. You don't need to sign disclosures for this. Yep. Everything is here. And the documents you're going to be looking for to object are on May 5th.
And that document that they just dropped, like, I know that everyone wants to go through every fine tooth detail. I appreciate that people are putting that much effort into an investment. You should. But the stuff that was unredacted, the stuff that's up here on the shareholder meeting, and it also dropped on the docket, that, what was it, 700, 900 page document?
Yeah, on the list of items up on the screen, the very first item is over 700 pages. I read through all of it. The third item is over 900 pages.
Those are the things that they thought were the most important. These were going to be the exhibits if they had gone to trial.
Right.
So as far as what you need to formulate, if you're going to write your letter in opposition or support, those are the highlights. Those are the things that you probably would be fine with creating a letter around.
And if you don't want to read this, I'll just give you a summary. This document from Mr. Gallagher, who is AMC's representation, all 700 pages of this is stuff that I've read over the past 2 years. There's not one email or board meeting minute in here. It's 10 Qs, 10 Ks, the filing of APE with the Delaware Secretary of State, prospectus, all public documents. So you're not going to find any smoking gun in there. Financial statements, everything that is public that AMC has put out over the last 2 years is in that 700 pages. I was able to skim through that really quickly, and nothing jumped out at me that I hadn't already seen. But if you've never looked at the financials and you're wondering why all this is happening, you should go read through that. This is the one that's kind of interesting, and you don't need to read all 900 pages. Again, at least 300 pages of this is internal AMC and external analyst financial forecasts over the last couple of years of what was going to happen with AMC. And you may or may not be interested in that. There were some redacted pages on here, but the interesting bits in here for me was reading all the board meeting minutes going back to 2020, 2021, how they were really concerned about filing bankruptcy back then. all the planning, the forecasting they were doing back then, all the way to 2023, 2026, when they were going to run out of cash. And they started the wheels turning in 2021, as you guys know, with toying with doing some additional dilution. And then they pulled that back because they realized there was no way in hell they were going to get 50% of common stock shareholders to show up. That's what you need to pass a vote for increasing the shares. We not just 50% to vote for it. We can't even get 50% of 500 million to show up. So that's why those got pulled. And ultimately, yeah, that's probably why they did the Antara deal, because they were getting desperate.
And this whole situation has led to, like the Delaware legislature is thinking about completely rewriting 242.
Yeah, I've talked about that. I've talked about that a few times. It's so bad. It's so bad, the situation that corporations are facing, that retail doesn't show up to vote, that there is literally a bill going through the Delaware Congress right now to strip away all the limitations on corporations requiring you to show up and vote. It's not just an AMC problem. This is epidemic. Retail doesn't fucking show up for reverse splits, share increases. Delaware is going to change the law. So you think you're mad now, wait till they change the law in Delaware, and they don't even ask you to do all this shit. They're just going to do it. But the reason that's happening is because nobody shows up to vote,
which is really sad, because
this
is where your money is. This is something that it's the same thing like voting for the president or voting for the governor in your state. This is civic responsibility. This is where your money's at.
So if you want to read something, I would read this document right here, Daniel Meyer, in support of the plaintiff. This is a document filed by Allegheny's attorneys. This was the dirt, or what was the word you used? What they were going to show in court.
These were all the exhibits. These were all the evidence that they were going to use. Yeah,
it's the exhibits they were going to use. So what I saw, really, maybe I'm biased because I'm just not looking at it emotionally or conspiratorially. What I saw in all the board meeting minutes was a lot of panic for the last couple of years of how do we not have these landlords foreclose on us? Even if we filed bankruptcy, some of them might be for it, some of them might not. Some of them are pushing us to file bankruptcy. It's just there was a lot of consternation about how to get out of this hole and how to raise cash, because they knew that the cash was going to get drawn down. They knew they had a blessing from the cash raise they did early in 2021, but they also knew back then that was not going to last. Is that a fair assessment, Corax? Am I misstating any facts here?
No, not that I'm aware of. And I mean, you have others in the industry that are going through that same thing. Cinemark is a complete total wash. Cineworld, excuse me. Everyone gets those mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two different companies. And then NCMI just recently filed for bankruptcy. I've been following that one.
Most of the big ones did, except Cinemark did not.
Mm-hmm.
Alamo Drafthouse here, we have Alamo Drafthouse here. There were several big in the top 10. Most, at least half of them filed bankruptcy. So
yeah.
Yes, retail gave them a blessing of $2 billion back in 2021, and that is one reason why they've made it this far. But it was also because they were hard at work, trying to figure out how to not go bankrupt, because they knew that money would eventually run out before the industry recovered.
Yeah,
and they got a lot of leases to pay and a lot of people to pay.
And then they had tobacco leases, like they were given some grace because of COVID, but that doesn't mean that they look like their landlord said, you know what, second thought, we don't want you to actually pay that money. No, that's still due. So
yep. So postcards, just to close off this topic, if you're on Twitter and you want to write an objection, look, if you want to wait for your postcard, that's on you. I'm not telling you what to do, but the information's right here on the screen, May 5th, of all of the instructions you need and all the information you need to file an objection. So don't let the postcard be the thing that that makes you late getting your letter received at the email address, which is here, AMC settlement objections at blbglaw.com. It has to be received by May 31st in the mail or by that email address. Not the court. The mailing address is in the letter from the judge, which is here on May 5th.
Please do not send it to the court. Your letter will be taken, it will be put on the docket, and then it will be ignored. And the court has said that if you send it to them, they'll void it, and then they will treat it as if this was your objection, and you do not get another one. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Now, as far as the confidential discovery, this development over the weekend, there is if you decide that you want to, I think, what is it? It's like 55,000 pages, I'm guessing they're going to have access to.
There is, I believe it's 55, 58 roughly.
And like people are complaining about 1,500 pages of public information. I can't imagine going through 55,000 pages.
Well, that's just the like physical discovery of all the board discussions, all that stuff. There's still on top of that, I think the grand total, if I remember correctly, was about 63,000 once you get into the depositions that they took of the executives, Adam Ayer and all them.
Now, I just want to make sure I go on record. I am fully in support of anyone who wants to look at the discovery. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to look at it. And if you want to look at it, I have no problem with that. We are shareholders, and this does affect us. So if you want to look at it, they've made it available to you, but you will need to sign the confidentiality agreement.
They've even gone like the court gave them and said that, okay, you want to tightly control how people are looking at it. Well, then here's the rules, the 100-mile thing. And AMC, after they saw, that situation that the court had outlaid and how expensive it was going to be and everything, they said, fine, we'll just do digital, which is what everyone wanted to begin with.
They made it even easier for people to look at it that want to look at it. AMC did. The judge was proposing very strict in-person,
which is what AMC originally wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why the court did that. The AMC wanted to be pretty strict on, how people could see it when they wanted to see it and everything. But also the court was taking into fact, well, where are we going to be having this viewing at? What is fair to shareholders? When can they see it? And so the court tried to halfway house it. They said, okay, you can have your strict locked down control of this information, which makes sense. But you have to do it within 100 miles of the shareholder requesting it. And what was the other thing? And it would be during business hours.
Yeah.
So, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And AMC just said, like, us setting up these different terminals all over the US and potentially Europe, that's just not doable. So we'll just do it digitally.
So what was the other thing I was going to say on objections? Oh, the judge made it very clear when you're reviewing this material. This is in her most recent letter. They're giving you access to all of the discovery for she said this very clearly and maybe in italics.
The express purpose.
For the express purpose of making an objection to the settlement.
Yes.
Not
no other purpose.
Not to create a new lawsuit or another motion,
Not to foment your conspiracy theories on YouTube.
Yeah. So if your intention is to file an objection, maybe you have enough information right here on the screen and you don't need to go through all the hassle and the extra risk that the confidentiality agreement subjects you to. If you accidentally said something to someone, you could get in a lot of trouble. But if you want to read that material, it is available to you for the purposes of writing your objection. So that's out there.
And there's been a lot of talk about how, but I can't even talk to other people who've also looked at this information. And it comes down to, especially now that they're allowing it digitally, how are they supposed to regulate who you're talking to?
I don't know.
So they just have to blanket say, you can't talk to anyone about this, because that's the only way that it can be fairly done, because they can't send minders out there to be like, okay, on this day, who did you talk to about, did you talk to anyone about this or anything like that? So they just have to make it a blanket. You can't say anything about it.
Yeah, and it's very common, that when you're in a corporate law case like this, especially if you're looking at board meeting minutes and personal emails, that all of this stuff is confidential.
Yeah.
Or some of it is highly confidential. So you're not being treated any different than anyone who is litigating the case.
And I don't know if you wanted to get into it, but it's also the reason why they have in there the stipulation that you can't trade during the period of this lawsuit, because you're dealing with material non-public information of the company. Right. And that falls under the SEC. That has nothing to do with any of the parties to this. This is Big Daddy federal government saying you will not do this.
Yep. Insider information that the rest of us don't have. And you could theoretically gain an advantage, and that is a SEC violation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe in Mr. Affholter's letter that came out today, he was saying, well, why can't we put the same restrictions on, the other, on AMC and the officers and everything? It's like, they're already under those strict scrutinies. Yep. Because they're insiders already. They already have to follow those rules. The exception to the rule currently right now is all of us. So if we look at this information, we don't get to trade.
So that's what I wanted to say about objections. And again, I don't care if you want to object or not. I just want to make sure you have the right information. I said early on at the beginning of May, my recommendation to anyone that wanted to file an objection was get legal counsel to help you. Mm-hmm. Because it's just my guess that a lot of
one of them has that I saw.
One of them has, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these objection letters that come in are just not going to meet the threshold of the court, because they're not professionally. I mean, even all of the motions that are being put in, the special master is just tossing them left and right. A few have made it through, but most of them, she's saying, like, just from the very get-go, this doesn't meet the basic minimum requirements.
When you're not even making a pleading, how's the court supposed to know what you're asking of it if you don't make a pleading?
So you do what you want. I'm not telling anyone what to do, but if I was filing an objection, I'd go hire counsel and make sure that, first of all, I have a valid complaint, and second of all, that I transmit the information that the court actually requires me to put in my objection, and not just have a legal basis tossed. Right.
Like, that's the big thing a lot of these letters are missing, or at least the ones that I've seen that they've been still trying to file them to the docket instead of sending them to the email that's been provided, is they're just saying, I don't like the settlement. Well, the court doesn't care if you don't like the settlement. The court wants to know why legally it should not approve the settlement.
Yep. On what legal basis are you objecting?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I've sort of gone over that on my channel. I have something I'm working on later, probably tomorrow. But there's exactly one way in for. But other than that, it's just so tight of a problem that AMC has, that objecting is like I said in one of my videos, it's like playing on hard mode.
We're going to talk next about the motions and recent letters from the special master. But first, I want to take a couple questions so we don't completely neglect the chat. First that I see here was a question from G Immortal. How can the court protect the trade or financial secrets of AMC if everyone can see the documents online? I mean, the documents that are public on AMC's website, it's not protected. It's public. All of the other 55,000 pages, they're basically putting you on the honor system after you file a confidentiality agreement. And I would imagine if they find that you violated that they could take some action against you. Yeah, they could take some action against you. So I would take that pretty seriously. Adria says, I've gotten different addresses to mail objection letter, and I have my proof of shares but need address. So let me pull up the judge's letter. Again, Go to AMC Investor Relations, guys. The bottom of the page, you don't even need to log into anything. Just go to investor.amctheaters.com. At the bottom, you got this link, and it brings up all these documents. The letter from the court to stockholders on May 5th has the address, both the email and the mailing address to the plaintiff's attorney. I know people don't trust attorneys, but Chance, the lawyer over at the Delaware Chancery Court, told me that it is very standard practice for objections to be sent to plaintiff's counsel. So that is the process. The court does not want to get bogged down with your letters.
And if you're really worried about this, think about it. If they were to not submit your letter, that would be their butt on the line. And
you'll see your letter in the docket.
Yeah.
Right. Is that don't you think that's a fair statement? If you submit
once the special master gets done with her report, that all the objection letters, I would assume, would be part of her report, because all these things would be treated like the previous letters that have come into the court. They're part of the public record. They're people who are objecting, so they have as of right to, be on the docket, be part of the public record.
Stephen, just another ape says, who is the guest speaking? This is a noisy Corax, Corax. Do you want to tell them your YouTube channel so they can find you?
Yeah, I'm the YouTube channel is basically the same name here on YouTube, but Noisy Corax. I also bounce around Twitter under Sunny Corax is the actual username, but I have as the header a Noisy Corax. And I took a bit of a siesta because the lawsuit, like, there was something coming out onto the docket once every day, and it was like white noise. But I should have some new videos coming out this week before I take off for Arkansas for the weekend. So I will have new content soon, even if it looks a little barren. And I basically have been following this. I've been following some other bankruptcy cases and other things that have been going on. So that's pretty much what my channel is about.
What the hell is a Corax?
A Corax is it's a sub species. It's ravens, crows.
I presumed by your icon there of the black raven that it was a raven or a crow, but not a term I'm familiar with. And I like learning new words. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also a nerdy tabletop game reference, but I'm not going to bore everyone with that.
Jasmine says, have you asked Chancery Daily to come back and provide insights? I have. The last two live streams, I sent her an invite. She has an invite to tonight with a call-in number. So Chance, if you're listening and you want to share any tidbits with the folks, I didn't give her any agenda. I just said, hey, if you want to come share anything with anyone, call in and I'll let you speak your mind as long as you want, whether it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes.
I would need to find it, but I'm pretty sure she has a YouTube channel, and she has set a time for a live stream, I believe, on the 25th.
Does she have a YouTube? She's got a Substack page that you can get. You can go. You can go sign up for, where she sends out updates. But she's following a lot of cases, guys, in the Delaware court. So she's not doing daily updates on AMC. I can tell you that. It's as time permits. The latest tweet that I saw from her basically said that make sure you're fucking following the court's instructions. She's
that is the biggest one.
A big stickler for if you're going to take the time to send in an objection, make sure you're following the court's instructions so you don't just have it tossed.
Yeah, don't give them a reason to ignore you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I've said that here too, and people call me a shill. And how dare you tell us what to do? I'm trying to fucking help you, even if I don't agree with you. I don't want to see anybody wasting their time.
That's the reason I haven't done any more videos on MMTLP. I tried to help them with the whole tax legalese from the S that was reported on the S1, and they're like, well, why do you even care? It's like, okay, well, I can stop caring right now.
I see in the poll now that we've been going for about 30 minutes or so. I don't even know what time it is.
Yeah, about 40 minutes. Roughly.
40 minutes. 90% of you still have not gotten your postcards.
That is what I've heard around the interwebs.
I saw a few people on Twitter today posting, I got mine, but not many. And so again, I'm just going to say the same thing I said at the beginning of this. If you're just joining in, it is my expectation and hope that every single one of you that own at least one share of AMC get a fucking postcard or an email. Check your email too, because this company that is sending it out, again, it's not AMC sending you this. It's not your broker. It is a third party whose business is claims notification. Strategic Claims Services was contracted to send out postcards or emails. I can't tell you how they decide which one to send. I don't know. But they are going to bill AMC 3 cents per postcard or email for everyone they send. And they must report a compliance report back to the judge by June 22nd of what they did. So you will get some closure. I don't know when everybody's going to receive their postcards or emails, but I expect it to be this week. Again, if you weren't in the beginning, there is nothing in the documents that says everyone must have it by X date. There was just the date the schedule was filed, plus 5 business days, plus 5 business days. And I expected that by about the 15th or 16th, everything should have been sent. And then you have postal delays after that. So
yeah,
hopefully, cross fingers, everybody gets theirs this week. And yeah, I get it. It's if you're waiting on the postcard to file your objection, which I don't know why you would, that doesn't give you much time. But all the info you've needed to file the objection's been available to you since May 5th on AMC's website, the plaintiff's website, and the defendant's website.
Yeah. Most of these people that are aware, like we are, of the situation, they'll be fine going ahead. Like we said, it's all information you already know. The postcards are just for people who aren't in the know. And I don't know how, like, there could be people who get this postcard late and the court will make room for them.
Yeah. I think
don't think it'd be that much.
The reason the people are making, it seems to me, the reason people are making a big deal about the postcards is they think it's going to be some sort of share count. The share count was never part of this case to begin with. And I do think that at some point, all of you will get your postcards. So I would just say utilize some patience.
I hate to be this person, but there was a share count back in March.
There's been a lot of share counts. AMC publishes the share count. What everyone wants to know is what is the DTCC share count, but that's a whole nother beast. If you own a share, you should fucking get a postcard, whether it's real or synthetic, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
you're a shareholder.
And it's held under the street name, and they know to trace it. Their assistants. I have to look it up again because I researched that way back when this first started. But even if your share was borrowed and sold short, it's in the street name, so the broker can trace it all the way back. Everyone can trace the transaction all the way back to make sure you get your letter.
Roseanne says, I bet a lot of people won't send in the postcard. I mean, you don't have to send anything in. The postcard literally is saying, hey, there's a class action lawsuit and you're a member. That's basically all it is. If you want to object, go to this website. It's
the same letter that I got when, I don't even have those shares anymore, but like my grandpa had gifted me shares of Lordstown, and they are in the middle of the suit, and I was part of what's considered the class, and so I got my little postcard letter that says, hey, if you want to object to this settlement, here's the date.
You've probably all gotten a similar postcard from some other company that's been sued for something at some point in your life. Willie says, well, I get a postcard from each broker. Not that I know of, Willie. I would hope that the company that's doing this contracting to send them out has a database they can sort. And if you have 3 brokers, they don't send you 3 postcards. Hopefully they can sort and say, oh, we already sent Willie 1. But maybe you will. Maybe you will. I don't know. I'm not familiar with how this operates. And I don't typically, before AMC, hold shares in multiple brokers. So I've only ever gotten one postcard on any settlement claim.
Yeah, same.
So unfortunately, I don't know. You let me know if you get more than one, though. It'd be good to file away for next time. God forbid we're ever in a next time like this.
Oof. Yeah, let's not.
All right, we're 40 minutes into this. Let's try and catch people up real quick on the recent filings. Corax, I'm going to let you take over for a minute if you want me to pull up any of these.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the docket on my phone.
Every time I click on one of these, it costs me $4, by the way. So let's just talk about the ones that matter.
On those, there's a way actually to get around that. The link I sent you, if you go to Twitter and you right click, you're using Chrome, right?
Yeah.
Open it up in a incognito mode. And then anytime it says, "Oh, you're out of PDFs that you can look at," just close the incognito window and reopen that same link in the incognito window, and you'll have 10 more again.
Oh,
because it's based on cookies.
I'm getting tired of paying $100 a week to keep.
Yeah, don't. I was thinking about that. It's like, man, he hasn't mentioned that, because there's other people who I sent that link to that happened, and I was like, man, he hasn't mentioned that. I hope he hasn't been.
Where did you send me a link? Is it on
Twitter? Remember the original one that to get into there, or you can just copy the.
Let me just log out here, and then I'll go incognito and log back in. Hang on a second.
Yeah, that's how I've been getting around it. It's just I view it in incognito mode, because all it's doing to do that like 10 document limit is caching cookies. Yeah. And incognito mode gets rid of the cookies, and so you just keep rinsing and repeating, and it'll never be the wiser.
Let's see. How do I go incognito again? Oh, new incognito window. Okay.
Yeah, and then just drop the URL into that. Let's see here, which one of these would actually be. Ooh.
Dave says he got 3 postcards. Is that for real, Dave?
I'm kind of amused by that, if that's true.
A Man Forever Changed says he got multiple postcards. He says from Fidelity. Were they postmarked from Fidelity? I'm curious. Like, was that the sender's address? So while we're here, and I'm waiting on Corax, the current listed plaintiffs on the left-hand side are Allegheny, Mr. Munoz, Mr. Franchi, and Mr. Matthew.
Mr. Matthew is actually a misnomer, because the special master's already said that he's not a party to this.
That's what I was wondering. I thought she said he wasn't, and I didn't see him file. I didn't see him file any ownership of shares.
Go to use your the little finder in the like Control F, and go search for Mr. Matthews his pro se affidavit, and I'm going to show you something that's hilarious that's kicking all these people in the ass.
I noticed I think she said Mr. Leibovitz also hasn't submitted the appropriate information to be
None of them have. There's 2, I believe, that have on the docket. If my understanding of things are correct, I could still be wrong.
We could be incorrect. Control F. Matthew.
And it'll be like the first one was like his pro se filing with the court. It's all the way back there, and I think April. I'll see if I can get this up and going, because my computer's being really sluggy. There's something about this stream that it really just does not like. It must be like a resources hog or something. Come on.
Interested party motion to add a party, or is it before?
No, it's even older than that. It would be a pro se affidavit. find it here. It'll be all the way back in the way back. It'd probably be like his first or second filing with the court. Come on, computer, play nice with me. Aha. It'll be on 4/25/23 pro se filing affidavit, Mr. Matthew.
For some reason,
AKA
it's
Al from
stopping
Boston.
at 427.
Huh?
Let me just take off.
Oh, you're using the search. You're using their inboard search sucks. You'll have to like out the 3 dots in the upper right, and then use the actual browser search.
So I see 421, and then it skips to 424.
It should be 4/25/2023 affidavit filed by A. Matthew, pro se filing affidavit.
Got it.
Now, you will notice on that document, nowhere does Al from Boston mention that he is swearing before the court his ownership of AMC or providing anything of such. That is why I believe that Special Master Amato is going, you're not a party to this. You haven't told the court that you're a party to this. So any motion that you file before the court can go huck that in a dumpster. We don't care. You're not a party to this.
Yeah, I acknowledge. I understand. There's nowhere in here that it says I.
There are 2 people that have.
I
filed.
confirm that I am a shareholder.
There are 2 people that there are 2 people that I've seen with docket affidavit filing saying, yes, I'm an AMC shareholder. And that's Mr. Tuttle and Mr. Tabor. That's it.
Mr. Affholter filed today.
Showing
that he had shares.
So
I find it funny too that Lou keeps on saying, I don't think I can, I'm not going to get a postcard because I own synthetic shares. I'm like, yeah, you own.
See, so you're touching on the thing that I think. I don't know if you saw the filing that was over the weekend. I think it was on the 21st. Al belatedly filed a motion in opposition to the special master's report, and the court hucked it. I sent you it wouldn't have shown up on the docket because they hucked it in the trash can because it was late. But I sent you the timestamp for it of them rejecting it. But basically, he filed this belated letter saying that I don't think it's fair that we have to show ownership. Well, yeah, that would be the case, Al, because you probably don't own any AMC shares.
Exactly. And the same reason you're never going to see a letter from Lou, because he doesn't own any shares either. He's just milking YouTube views. Yeah. I'm probably not going to get a postcard because I own synthetic shares. What a crock of shit.
Just admit you're playing the arbitrage. I admit upfront to my viewers, I am playing the arbitrage. There's nothing wrong with playing the arbitrage. Just don't be a sleazebag about it.
Yeah. Once the settlement goes through, I mean, if you're all going to be AMC shareholders, all of us, whether you own AMC or APE, and one of them is $5 right now, and the one is $1.60.
Yep.
They're all going to be AMC. After the settlement's approved, you tell me which one's smarter to buy right now.
I think the one that's a third the price.
Right. I mean, whether you want to play arbitrage or just have a better position going into a reverse split, you could buy 3 times the APE for your same money as buying AMC if you were buying right now.
Yep. But that was just a little thing that I noticed that I thought was funny that was worth bringing up. Do they have on the docket here? I'm pretty sure they do. I think we went over most of the stuff in Mr. Affholter's recent letter to the court.
Let's go over the special master's response to Mr. Affholter today.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. Yes.
I'll pull it up, and I'm going to let you talk because they're probably tired of hearing me talk. Everybody hates me.
I don't know. You got a nice Texas accent. I'm sure it'll carry you places. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone because my computer is lagging hard. Vice Chancellor.
I've got it up on the screen if you can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. We'll see if it lags on me. Okay. Here's the report, Special Master. Yes, I've already downloaded that on my phone.
Pirate born, that could be another good option. Hold your cash until
I
after the
need
dust
to
settles.
pull
Yes.
up the rule, and I'll see if I can send you a link to it, because Court of Chancery rules, because it's going to be kind of important to what we're seeing, what we're talking about here.
While he's pulling that up, Pirate, I've made no secret that also, both to my audience and my Discord, that I'm holding a certain amount of cash in case the settlement is approved and the reverse split goes through and then dilution is announced. If there's no juicy price action, what's up, Juicy? I see you in the chat. If there's no juicy price action and the price falls because of dilution, then I've got a certain amount of cash set aside that I could go in and buy cheaper.
So that was they said they were doing it as a Delaware 12B or no 11B. 11B. Let me find what
11B. Yeah, I got it here.
Let me find where on here. Actually,
page 2.
We're gonna move this
in the sanctions motion. Affholter seeks a hearing pursuant to the Court of Chancery Rule 11B based on the following paraphrasing of statements.
Basically, what an 11B is, because I researched this ironically enough because I thought I was going to get involved and slap some of these people, but I thought wiser because obviously professional lawyers can do a better job of that. And we're going to see also when I pull this up why. So is there a way to do screen share on here from my end?
Yes. Click on the icon underneath our video chat that looks like a computer with an arrow up on it.
Okay, we're going to pull up. Haha. Where is it? We're going to do window. We're going to do this window. Hey-oh. Let me see, because it's... Let me know if you see it, because it's my computer's lagging hard. Okay. So this is Rule 11, which is basically all the different the rules for filing with the court, the pleadings. Anytime you present something to the court with a signature, the pleading, written motion, paper, anything, you're responsible for it, and it's considered that when you attach your name to it, that this is something that you're doing, and you're not. That you're doing it in good faith, that you're not presenting anything that's improper or intended to harass, delay, increase the cost of litigation, non-frivolous, and that there is a reasonable expectation that you have evidence for the motion, if not now, then in the future. So basically the 11B is saying, hey, what they filed with the court is obviously not in good faith, that they filed this with the court. They made statements to the court in this filing that have no foundational basis. I believe the one that that she pointed out was that it was an 11B3, where he was saying that there was no factual basis or factual grounds for the assumption, because let me make sure. Because Mr. Affholter said that because Adam Aaron in a tweet said that they were in a solid cash position, even though in the court they were saying we need to, get this through so we can increase our cash position and things of that nature, that obviously the lawyer was not acting in good faith, because here's Adam Aaron online saying that they've got a solid cash position.
Yeah, people read too much into tweets.
Yeah. And so the other big thing about it that they kind of glossed over because there was already so much wrong with it is, if you're asking for sanctions, and it shows under Section C here how initiated, and if the court under Section C1B can do it of their own accord, or under C1BA, you have to actually file a letter to the person you're filing against and say, hey, this motion that you're filing, it's not in good faith. Here's the things that I think are wrong with it, and give the party a chance to withdraw their statement.
She actually mentions that here in the footnote. Mm-hmm. It says, Mr. Affholter is not a party to this action and did not serve the motion in compliance with Rule 11C1A.
Yep.
These likely are bases to deny the sanctions motion, but I do not need to address them because there are other grounds to deny the motion. So,
yeah. And then here on that, one second.
This his whole motion was Adam Aaron
yeah.
tweeted that the company has plenty of cash. Therefore, the lawyer was lying when he said AMC needs to raise cash. What Adam Aaron says about what is current right now, $495 million. Yeah, that's enough to get us through this quarter. But the company is not looking just at this quarter, and that's what I keep on harping on. The company is looking how to survive until 2024 or 2026.
Yeah.
That's
when
what
things are good again.
Cash raise thing is about, not Adam Aaron's tweet about what happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The 500 million is not going to let this company survive for 2 more years. Absolutely not.
But C1A, as she mentioned, you have to not only give it to the other party before you even file it with the court. You're supposed to give them also 21 days to, unless the court says otherwise. The standard under Section A is 21 days after service of the motion. Then you can file with the court and say, hey, they said this thing. This thing is not based in fact. It's not in good faith. You need to have them remove it because they haven't removed it. And then you can go to sanctions.
This is the big problem I have with a very small minority of this community. Like she addresses it in this bottom paragraph. Mr. Affholter contends that the counsel statements regarding AMC's cash position conflict with Adam Aaron's representations in a tweet. This is why it's important, guys, to understand the financial statements and the projections of what's going to happen with cash and the box office. This company is likely not to make money in Q3 and Q4. 495 million when we're burning 200 million a quarter is not going to last.
Yeah.
Companies,
like I made that
she
statement.
goes, hang on one second and I'll let you.
No problem.
She goes on to say companies can have cash and at the same time desire to preserve and raise more cash. Almost the exact same thing that I said when people were talking about Adam Aaron's tweet. Like his tweet was talking about 2 weeks ago how they're doing right now, not how they're going to be at the end of this year. 500 million. Take the fucking financial statements to your CPA and ask them if this company is going to survive 3 more quarters. They are going to tell you no. And that is why, if for some reason AMC loses this lawsuit, I will be out of this play because I'm not going to stick around in a company that's headed for bankruptcy. Someone asked me the other day, why are you saying you guys are going to end up like Bed Bath & Beyond? Because if AMC loses this lawsuit, I am out. I'm not going to watch it go down the drain like Bed Bath & Beyond and people rah-rah in the company. And you will run out of cash and the lenders will foreclose on the company. Then it will go into bankruptcy and the lenders will own the company and you will get nothing. That's what's going to happen if AMC loses.
Yeah, that's the other reason why in this arbitrage play that I'm not too afraid. I was jittery when everything started out, but like I'm hedged either way. And like you said, if it turns out that the settlement doesn't go through and they're back in court or this gets prolonged or anything like that, that's cool. I can sell my 8 shares and just put on more puts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm emotionless in this play. I'm very callous in how I'm judging it, and every way that I'm judging it is based on the financials. So if anything I just said hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. I am not, in this play at this point for emotions or feelings. It's very black and white to me based on the projections for box office and the projections for losses. What is going to happen if this company can't raise money?
Yeah.
Is raising money, is dilution great for shareholders? No, it's not great. But having $2 billion back in the bank again would be pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there was also a second half to this.
Yep. Scrolling down. Affholter cites the defendant's counsel estimates there are 3.8 million shareholders, but does not contend that this statement was inaccurate. Rather, he seeks clarification. I guess he's asking for a share count, right?
Correct.
Where do you think they got that 3.8 million from?
They know how many shares that they've issued. Well,
I'll tell you how I think they know.
Sure.
Whenever there is, I've read the SEC rule or FINRA rule on this. Whenever there is a shareholder vote annually, like what we have, a company can petition the brokers to send them a complete list of all beneficial holders. That is how I think. That is how I posted it on Twitter, 6 months ago. That rule. That is how I think they're getting the estimate of how many shareholders there are.
That makes sense.
Now it's a snapshot and that changes by the day, right? But that gets them in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I like in there how Special Master Amato brings up a big issue that I have with this is that, and you see it in Al from Boston's motion to try and add the DTCC, which was a laugh and a half. I have a video on my channel about that one. It was a good joke. That, the court is not responsible with giving you legal advice. In fact, it's in their best interest that they don't, because they have to be impartial. So like when you have these people that are not legally savvy asking legal questions to the court can't do anything. They can't help you. Get a lawyer. That's what a lawyer's for.
Before we read the final conclusion here, I just want to answer Mr. Silverback. I get asked this question a lot. You guys should know the answer to this by now. I know that 99% of my audience does. What is going to happen to your average? What will your average be, or your cost basis? Guys, everything related to price, your cost average and the price of the stock is going to go 10x up because your shares are going to go 10x down. So your overall position in the company will remain the same, but your cost basis, just like the price of the stock, will go up 10x. If your cost basis is $10 right now, it will be $100 after the reverse split. But as we've talked about umpteen million times, it's just as hard or just as easy, depending on how you want to flip the bread, to move a stock with 1.5 billion shares from $5 to $20 as it is to move it from 50 to 200. It's the same amount of money to move those shares. So the reverse split does not change anything other than in your mind. Wall Street is not looking at it that way. You guys are looking at it that way because clickbaiters and people who don't understand finance are telling you that, but that's not how Wall Street looks at reverse splits.
I'll also take Rosie Ann's question about, doesn't the judge know this? Why does she allow this to drag on? I think it's the appearance of being without bias. She wants to take some of these, even if they know that they're frivolous, so that none of these people can come back and say, well, obviously the judge. Now, even if they did, it would, that wouldn't go anywhere, but it keeps the court, it keeps the appearance that the court is impartial. We're going to take these motions that are irregular because the shareholders are trying, and we want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because, these things are probably going to happen more often now that we have more retail investors that are involved in corporate governance.
Someone asked me a similar question on Twitter. Why are they letting it drag out? Or maybe it was in the comments of one of my videos. If I'm not mistaken, in the Delaware Chancery Court, there's a standard 60-day waiting period for objectors to object. So you might think the judge is like, why is she entertaining all this? This is a mandatory 60-day period. So she doesn't really have much choice. And she was the one that insisted, even though AMC and Allegheny were saying we can shorten this, the judge said the standard is to give shareholders 60 days, and we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I think part of her argument was also that they didn't they probably could have said we're on the edge of bankruptcy, but they didn't say that. And so she's like, well, I mean, it could be as obvious to everyone in the room that you're in the danger zone, but unless you tell the court that you're in the danger zone, they're not going to expedite things.
The other follow-up thing I just wanted to say to Mr. Silverback, when we talk about the float being dropped by 10, we're going to go from 1.5 billion shares combined of APE and AMC down to 150 million. Now, I want you guys to think, when you wake up, if you're a day trader or a momentum trader, do you ever wake up and say, let's see what the high float stocks are that are moving today? I sure don't. People are looking for low float stocks because they can move faster, bigger. And so having a lower float, 150 million shares, is much better for shareholders than having a stock that has 1.5 billion. It is really hard to move 1.5 billion shares.
Yeah,
it just is. There's so many shares out there to play with for these fuckheads, these high-speed traders and these big institutions. There's just a lot of liquid shares out there. Whether we think we own the float or not, there's plenty enough out there for them to fuck around with. Having a lower float will, until dilution happens, will tampen that down a little bit, I think.
And it'll also make the price more stable because, if there's less volatility involved because there's less, liquidity. And I mean, you could also say the other way around, that, that liquidity also, that excess liquidity also helps the volatility issue. But I think in this case, it would stabilize the price, at least until, Adam Aaron has to start creating new shares again. But
any other motions or letters that you guys want to talk about, or Corax, any other ones that you want to talk about? I mean, this was the main one today. There's been a couple others that got slapped down, and then we already talked about the ones over the weekend that went in retail's favor about getting access to the discovery, and I think that's great for the people that want to see that.
If the chat doesn't have one to go over, I think there's one that hasn't been slapped down yet. I've gone over it with you, but I think it'd be good to go over the one by Mr. Tuttle, the motion for declaratory relief on May 12th.
May 12th. All right. Is this the one that there's a response from I don't know, that's from the plaintiff. Never mind.
Let me see what it's listed as on here.
How is Tuttle not listed as a plaintiff yet?
That's my question, because he's one of the few people that have actually said, hey, I own shares directly to the court.
I don't get that.
I know on the file and serve side, every single one of them are called interested parties. They're not technically plaintiffs.
Tuttle, if you're watching, because I chat with him every now and then, if you're watching, send me a DM and tell me why they haven't listed you as a plaintiff yet. I'm just curious. I invited him to come on and talk on my channel and tell us all his thoughts, but he said it would be talking to a kindergartner. You wouldn't understand, Tony Denaro.
I've already had my back and forth with him, so yeah, I'm not.
I just left it at that. I mean, there's a lot of people that would love to come mop the floor with me, and he missed a great opportunity, but he's always welcome to come on the show.
I think he's afraid he'd get his floor mopped.
All right, what do we want to talk about here? I've got it up on the screen.
Okay, so this one is this is me nerding out. There's different ways that the court allows either a summary judgment or a suit to be dismissed. The one everyone knows if they follow corporate law a lot, or just law in general, civil law, is the Rule 12B motion, which is basically, hey, this lawsuit's been filed. We as the defendants are going to get rid of this lawsuit because the court, because they didn't file it properly, or the court doesn't have jurisdiction. Basically, if the lack of jurisdiction, whether that be regional jurisdiction or subject matter jurisdiction, which subject matter jurisdiction is they don't have jurisdiction over that particular section of law. Like a civil court can't rule on criminal matters, that kind of thing. family court judge can't rule on things that aren't family court.
Right.
Then there's failure to state a claim, which means that basically you've charged someone with this, but the story that you're constructing does not lead to the conclusion of that claim. But basic things like that. And under Rule 12B, it is assumed that everything that the plaintiff is saying is true and factual. But if they don't meet any of these requirements, it doesn't matter. Lawsuit goes away. The next one down is Rule 12C. Rule 12C is what Mr. Tuttle is going for. Now, Rule 12C is a little different. Rule 12C is the plaintiffs have filed their lawsuit and the defendants have responded to the lawsuit. So either the defense or the plaintiff, either one, this is one of those rare cases where both can do a 12C. And basically what it says is after we've gotten past the pleading stage, where plaintiffs have said their claims, defense has said their claims, well, there's no argument over the facts. We both agree to the facts that led up to this moment. There's no controversy on the facts. So judge, rather than going through a whole trial, we already agree on all the elements of this case. We just disagree on the law. So judge, you tell us what the law says. You tell us, based on these facts, what happened, and we will deal with that ruling.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what Mr. Tuttle is asking for. No one's arguing about the facts, so you, judge, rule on this. There's a problem. We haven't gotten out of the pleading stage. That's the part that he's missing in here. So Rule 12B, you have to have both the initial lawsuit and the response from the defense. Well, we got the initial response, and then since they wanted this preliminary injunction, they started fighting over the preliminary injunction. And while they were doing discovery for the preliminary injunction, they started to realize, oh, shoot, AMC might go bankrupt in the middle of this. Let's settle instead. So the response back from AMC to the allegations never happened.
Isn't this kind of a moot point because the plaintiffs recently lost a similar case and that's why they folded and decided to do a settlement anyways?
It's a little complicated, but yeah, that's basically what happened on at least the Section 242 part of it, where the plaintiffs in this were the plaintiffs in another case. They lost it, and it's on appeal to the Delaware Supreme Court, which is why the Vice Chancellor Zern said, hey guys, I realize you're putting this in here to defend your settlement, but you guys kind of have to disclose that you also in that case went and appealed it to the Supreme Court. So you kind of have this conflict of interest thing where you're saying, hey, take our settlement, because this thing is been already adjudicated while also appealing it.
Yeah, I'm no attorney, and I don't know what Mr. Tuttle's background is in terms of law. I'm no attorney. I read DGCL 242.
Mm-hmm.
In my amateurish reading of it, I did not see any breach.
Yeah.
But I'm just stating that as my opinion, and I will abide by whatever the judge decides. And the fact that the plaintiffs already gave up kind of tells me that I'm leaning, my opinion is leaning towards the correct here.
Well, and also Mr. Tuttle's analysis of the situation kind of creates a new definition for the word amendment. What he adds in is that using Delaware General Corporate Law Section 151G, I believe is what he mentions.
151G. I got it.
Which basically, that's basically the section of the corporate law that deals with the whole blank check corporate shares thing, how they operate under Delaware law. And it says that, you can amend it to add whatever preferences and things by the board of directors, blah, 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 blah. Well, he is interpreting it amendment to mean, well, it wipes the entire slate clean. All these other things that are in the charter, the charter amendments go away. And now, since there was nothing in the declarations for amending this, then that means that this goes away, and now we can go back to 242B and we can have the boxed ruling come in, and this is a defective corporate act. Well, I mean, I hate to tell you, but that's a radically new interpretation of the word amend.
That's why we have differences of opinions, and that's why we have lawsuits, right? I mean, to me, it's very clear he has a different opinion. That's why he's filing his motion, and ultimately the judge is going to decide, or the special master is going to make a recommendation. And I hope that everybody, I've already stated, whatever they say, I'm going to say okay and move on with my life.
Yep. More than likely, since we're even if there was an argument to be made here, since we're in the settlement period, the court would probably, now I'm also not a lawyer, so I can't say with absolute certainty, and I don't think a lawyer would even tell you they could say with absolute certainty, but more than likely the court's going to be like, that's a nice opinion. We'll deal with the settlement first, and after the settlement, if that's still an issue, get to that.
I hope that the judge, at least in her opinion, which I expect to be lengthy and thorough, will address this. I don't know if she will or not.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep people too late. We can come back to some other motions, but let's talk about Antara real quick, because I know there are some people that want to know what's going on with Antara. And I have the SEC filings here. As you guys know, Antara has been selling since February. They had 240 something million shares. You can go see these filings, and they get posted on Twitter and stuff. So you guys are aware of them. There's been sporadic selling, and then they started back up here in May, the 4th, the 8th.
Oh, they've
15th,
done some new ones in May.
16th, 18th. And then there was a 13D, which I think has to be, is that an annual filing or quarterly? I forget. I think it's
quarterly,
annual.
I think.
Whatever. I mean, it's a required filing, either quarterly or annually. It's not important. But more important, what I'm tracking is these Form 4s, which is every time they sell, since they own so much, they have to file a Form 4. They're considered an insider. And the 13D basically gives you the exact same info as this very last Form 4.
Correct.
Which is how many shares they still own. They sold 2 million shares, 1 million on the 18th, 1 million on the 19th at $1.60 and $1.61, leaving them with 146 million. This 13D says that they have 145.7 million, so a little bit less. But everyone wants to know, what is my opinion? This is just my opinion, guys. Antara is a company that is trying to make money, and they got these shares cheap. Like, by my calculation, an average, if I look at the entire deal, of around 82 cents, they're up at least 100%. You got legal risk. You got financial risk with the markets right now, interest rates, debt ceiling. You got a lot of risk, and they got a lot of money in this play, and they are, thank God, not dumping. They're slowly selling and taking some of their own risk off the table. Institutions are not interested in diamond handing, especially if they're up 100%. And you guys should be thinking like that too on everything you own. If you're up 100% on something, look, if you want to hold something for a short squeeze, that's one thing. But goddamn, no matter what you're trading, as we're trading throughout the week, if we're up 100% on something, we're taking money off the table.
Definitely.
And that's what they're doing. And I don't blame them. And you should expect more sales from Antara. It doesn't hurt my feelings that they're selling. That's less for them to dump after the reverse split and conversion. So as long as they're doing it in a measured way and not tanking the price, what am I happy or not happy about it? Does it matter? Does it matter what I think about it, really?
And I'd rather see them do this than what I'm probably going to do, and a lot of people in the arbitrage play are going to do, because they couldn't cover how you'd normally cover an arbitrage. There's just not enough shares outstanding to pull a short. You have to do it in puts. I'd rather see, if I was an AMC shareholder Antara slowly bleeding out their position rather than like what you just said, just wait till the conversion. And on the day of the conversion, just dump a big deuce in the toilet and flush.
Yeah. I don't want to see a day where they just dump 100 million shares. That would tank the price.
Yeah.
After conversion, that would be horrible. I see Doc Zeno said settlement is highly likely to pass. I'm just going to say, guys, the same thing I've been saying since day one. AMC will win this case. Now we have a settlement, so they're going to win by settlement. 99% is my gamble. My bet to you, 99% is my odds that either a dismissal or more likely a settlement will be approved by the judge. If I'm wrong, I'm good with that. You can come back and laugh at me. Yeah. What do you think, Corax?
I agree with that 100%. And I'd actually want to read something specifically, especially these people who are like, oh, if we get a different, better settlement out there, you know, you see a lot of these people who are objectors or
that's a possibility. You could get a better settlement.
Here's something from Conn v. Sullivan that was appealed to the Supreme Court. And this is a ruling by the Court of Chancery that the Supreme Court upheld in Delaware. Despite this court's expressed displeasure with the settlement efforts set forth on July 19th, 1989, opinion in Conn, the settlement now before the court is only slightly changed. And they went on to approve the settlement. Therefore, the settlement in the court's opinion leaves much to be desired. The court's role in reviewing the proposed settlement, however, is quite restricted. If the court was a stockholder of Occidental, it might vote for new directors. If it was on the board, it might vote for new management. And if it was a member of the special committee, it might have voted against the museum project. But its opinions are limited in reviewing a proposed settlement to applying Delaware law to the facts, adjudicated in the record, and then determining if in its business judgment, whether on balance, the settlement was reasonable.
Keep in mind the settlement that is proposed, as Chance the lawyer told us. And hey, Pantheon, I see you in the chat. What's up, amigo? People were asking about you earlier. Thanks for dropping in. Chance the lawyer said that this settlement is one of the largest of its kind for a case like this. So the plaintiff and the defendant have agreed that this is the best thing for all the shareholders. I get it. There are some of you listening in or watching this on replay that have, you know, a lot of things you're not happy about, and I get it. But the big parties, the ones that brought the case, have reviewed all of the discovery and are recommending to the judge to approve the settlement. Mm-hmm. So could somebody find something and object that everybody missed? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I call the legal uncertainty of the next 5 weeks. There's a chance. That's
why the conversion hasn't merged yet. There's still in uncertainty.
But I think it's you've had some of the best corporate attorneys in Delaware, the plaintiff's attorneys, look at everything and are now recommending on a settlement. That carries a lot of weight with me. I'm not happy that Allegheny brought the lawsuit. I'm not happy with this law firm, but they looked at everything and they said, all right, everybody's best interest is to get this resolved and let the company raise money, or it's going to be in serious problems. It's going to be in trouble. And we don't even know if we can win the case. We being the plaintiff's attorneys.
And that's the big thing. Like one of the measures in the settlement process is the value of the settlement compared to the likely recovery if a judgment was given. So if AMC, it seems likely, looking at its financials, would have gone bankrupt in the middle of this litigation, literally anything is better than zero.
Yeah. And all of the people that are ape holders, whether you hate them or not, they're still shareholders in the company. And if the judge were to rule against the settlement, that would have an adverse impact on them also.
Exactly.
And everybody. Limiting the company's ability to raise cash impacts everybody in a negative way. I consider it a short's dream for this lawsuit to go against AMC. Absolutely. They'd be like, oh, we got them in the final trap now. They can't fucking raise money. Ape was just ruled illegal. Double down on those shorts. Yeah. That's how I view it.
I
You
mean,
can-
that's
You
exactly
can
what I
agree
would
or
do.
disagree. I know there's people pounding the table saying, fuck you, Denaro. But I'm being very blunt with you guys. From a financial perspective, that's a perfect short. You got a company that can't raise cash and is
That's,
probably going to lose money in Q3 and Q4. Short the fuck out of it.
I mean, I tell you right now that if it came back in July or whenever Vice Chancellor Zern came back and said, yeah, no, this settlement is not approved, I would be lumping the puts, buying them up at whatever price I could get them, because it's a zero, sadly. And that's not to be a jerk or an asshole or anything like that. There's something else that I wanted to, maybe something in a bit more positive light to bring up.
We got to end this on a positive note.
But no, I think it's just given the situation, like I said at the beginning of this stream, if you are someone filing an objection, you are playing on hard mode, or I don't know what it is on Doom, like the hardest mode possible, because like it's not that the lawsuit didn't have merit. It's just that AMC's in a bad situation and settlement was the best option. So it's not the outcome you wanted, but it's the best outcome, because these class action lawsuits, these shareholder litigations, are to take in the entire class, those for and against anyone who is a member of the class, and you are one member of that class. You don't have any greater say than any other member of the class.
Someone's asking about Ursa. G Immortal's asking about Ursa. Do you want to talk about that? I'm going to bring them up on Fintel and see if I saw people post that they own puts. I don't know. I haven't looked them up to see. I think if they filed a letter, they probably must own shares too. But give me 1 second and we'll pull it up.
Oh, is that one guy who sent a letter in that said, hey, we're opposed to the settlement?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my take on this. You ready for it?
Yeah.
I think it's a letter that was sent in that's fake, because if you are a person who is in charge of a hedge fund who has a lot of money riding on puts, and you're following and you understand the legal arguments that are going on as much as they did sending in that letter, and the court has sent a letter out that says, if you're going to file an objection, you need to send it to the lawyers. Don't send it to the court or it won't be considered. Why would you send it to the court? That's what it looks like if it's on the docket.
Interesting. That's an interesting take on it. I hadn't thought of that. So here's the real info, guys. They own 1,000 shares and 11 million shares worth of puts.
And it looks like they have some calls too to hedge.
They do have standing to legally file a letter if they own 1,000 shares.
If they have one share.
Yeah.
And the
Corax, and I've heard other people say that they thought that letter was fake or a head fake. Maybe it is. I don't know.
That's my opinion. It could be real, but like it just doesn't seem like.
Wouldn't you think that Ursa would have known that and like done a press release? This was not us.
That's true. Or they might just not be aware of it because like they're a hedge fund and they're in their cooler room. I don't know. Like it's all we can do at this point really with that is speculate. Yeah.
Maggie, what's up? Maggie says, after the reverse split and Adam Aaron runs out of money again, what then? Another split? I mean, Maggie, he's going to have 550 million shares, only of which 150 million are used. That's 400 million shares. He just needs enough money, I think, to get through 2024. Let's say after the reverse split and the conversion that it comes out at about $30 a share. And then here's what I'm thinking, Maggie. They'll do the reverse split and conversion. They will announce Q2 results with the positive earnings. Cross our fingers. We're going to talk about earnings in just a second. That's why I have box office pulled up here. But let's say we have positive earnings in Q2. That could be a little bit of upward momentum on the price. And then he's going to announce the dilution. And then you'll see the price start coming down because dilution. And if he could raise at $20, 100 million shares, that's $2 billion. That buys them 2 more years or 3, because as the quarters get better and better, we're going to lose less and less money into 2024, assuming that quarters get better and better, right? This is an assumption at this point based on projections. So $2 billion in the bank, if he doesn't squander it buying Cineworld or a lithium mine or something silly,
Yeah.
that gives them a lot of extra lifeline.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, if
that's
that works
100
out-
million shares, and then he's still got 350 million more.
Yeah.
All right, try and talk about something positive for a second. I was projecting from my financial model that I shared with you guys, which called AMC's quarterly losses to the dollar, negative 235 million. My model is showing that if we get over about 2.8 billion domestic box office in Q2, we got a chance of a positive quarter. And if all of the movies deliver in the next 5 weeks that we expect them to, if we get, say, 3 or 3.3 billion, that's a big number, because we're at 1.4 billion right now. That's $2 billion in 5 weeks. I don't know now if we can get there, but we got a lot of good movies coming out. If we could get $3.3 billion in Q2 domestic box office, that would give us in the neighborhood of 13 cents positive EPS. So 2.8 is the minimum I'm looking for to get at least a 0, not a negative. So I'm going to be watching this every week. We got 5 weekends left to make $1.5 billion. And with all the movies we have coming, it is possible. But I'd like to be a little further ahead than we are right now. 1.4 billion. I'd like to be a little further ahead than where we're at. Or do you do any modeling on the finances, Corax?
I do some like rough back of the napkin kind of calculations. If anyone watched my video on NCMI, you can see some of the I don't do like the full modeling like you do, though. If you're that accurate, maybe I'm going to have to hit you up on that. But no, I did some back of the napkins for NCMI, like looking at the same stuff you did, where, if movies rebound and NCMI comes out of this bankruptcy like they're planning on coming out of it, it might be something, because they're going to have some heavy dilution to pay off based on their bankruptcy plan. They're going to have some heavy dilution to give the creditors equity in exchange for debt. And then from there, based on some of the estimates that I've seen on their EBITDA that they've provided, there's a chance that if you get in right at the dilution point, there's a chance for some pretty hefty upside.
I know, guys, you can go to a noisy Corax and watch his video on NCMI. If you're curious, that's the advertising company that all of these movie theaters, including AMC, are partners in. Is that a fair word?
Yes. The Up-C structure basically is a private company inside of a public company. So basically, as shareholders, you're one of the air quotes private members to the private company through the Up-C structure.
You probably really know more about it than I do, because I've been I have so much other stuff I'm working on.
I know that
NCMI is
feeling.
an afterthought for me. Can you explain to me and to the folks in the audience in like 2 minutes or less how sometimes per quarter, because this happens, I think, on an annual basis, some companies like AMC or Cinemark get a distribution from NCMI, and some have to pay into it. Most recently, AMC got a distribution. We made money from it, I think, and Cinemark had to pay into it. How and why does that happen?
Certain members of the Up-C structure, the 3 core members, which is Cinemark, Cineworld, and AMC, all have shares in the private Cinemark Incorporated, along with the shareholders, which is I'm not Cinemark, the NCMI Incorporated. And then the shareholders own shares in NCMI LLC, which is the 4th member to the whole Up-C structure. Based
What is
on
UPSI? Is that
an UPSI
UPSI
is
or?
it's up. It's like an initial. It's UP-C, and it's basically an up corporation or an up company where basically it's quasi public and private at the same time. So the reason why AMC and some of these companies get distributions or they pay in, it's basically their payment for being part of this UPSI structure. They all have private stake in the company, and at any point they can take that private stake and exchange it for public shares in NCMI LLC, the arm of it that the shareholders have, and sell take their private stake, exchange it for a public, and then sell it for profit.
It
They
almost
still-
sounds like a convertible debt type thing. Like you're
Yes.
getting a distribution of shares, and then you can hold those shares AMC, or you can sell them into the market, right?
Yes, and it gives them tax benefits because they can hold those private shares, which is considered like a long-term capital gains kind of thing. And then when it's most beneficial, they can exchange it for the public shares and then sell those for cash.
Someone's asking what's going on with the postcards. I would invite you to scroll back to the very beginning and look for on the screen. I put tags in this live stream. Just rewind the live stream until you see this, and we have a quick discussion on postcards. We talked about postcards. We talked about anyone that wants to object, and then we talked about all of the motions. Now we're just kind of riffing off of your questions.
Yeah.
Maggie says, what can Hycroft expect from a reverse split? So Hycroft is going to have to do a reverse split just to stay listed on the big board. Hopefully you guys voted on that. Their vote's coming up any day now, right? Or did it already happen? I wasn't.
I'm
paying
not
attention.
aware because
I voted. I know it was the 20th something.
Mm-hmm.
Did it already happen, guys? I voted a couple weeks ago. Hopefully you voted for it, because otherwise they're going to the pink sheets.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to hold Hycroft on the pink sheets. If they reverse split, then obviously, the price will increase and your share count will go down, but the benefit is they stay on the NASDAQ. But Hycroft is another one of those companies like MULN that has no income right now. So what's going to happen? It's probably not going to be great. You don't want to be holding shares in a company that has no income. This is a high risk speculative play. I have a little bit for a long-term hold on the gamble that they have good mining results and they're not good exploration results, and that they are able to build their milling operation and get back to mining a couple years from now. So this is a very long-term play with a lot of risk. That's what Hycroft is.
Yeah. I got head faked on MULN. I know you brought that up, that there was apparently a lawsuit that dropped, but it's like all sorts of just don't even waste your time being concerned with it if that's something you're invested in, because it's a pro se litigant who couldn't even file in the right court, so it had to be moved to the correct court. So
yeah, I saw it come across my wire, but I didn't read it. MULN's got enough other problems besides they got way more problems than a lawsuit.
Yeah.
David says, why does it matter about the postcard? It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah, the postcard's only for people who aren't like us,
aren't on social media.
Yeah.
The postcard is your notification that you're a member in a class action and instructions how to object. Now, you guys that are paying attention on YouTube and Twitter, you've known those instructions. You've had access to them since May 5th. Again, I showed that at the beginning many times. Go to Investor Relations, scroll down to the bottom of the page, click on this link, and you'll get all these documents from May 5th with your instructions to object. That's all the postcard is, a notice and how to find the website if you want to object.
I see.
Other than that, there's no benefit to having a postcard.
I see a Shimmer there asking if the judge accepts the settlement and the June and everything goes by, we have the settlement hearing, and sometime in July or whenever the judge approves the settlement. My understanding, and I could be wrong on this, is as soon as they do the ruling next day, AMC can just walk right over to the exchange and say, we're converting now, do it.
I heard Adam Aarons say in one of the meet and greets that someone recorded or somewhere, I heard him say this, that maybe it was on the shareholder meeting, that he will have the paperwork pre-filed. So whenever the judge issues her written opinion, I think you can expect the filing to be enacted the same day. And then it's up to NYSE and the OCC how fast they can flip the switch to turn everything on. Could it be overnight? It could be. Could it be a day or two after the judge's written opinion? Could be a day or two. Yeah.
It might be a day or two because like I don't put much weight on it or it happening, but you could see people try and rush down to the Delaware Supreme Court and try to appeal this. But like, I wouldn't like hold my breath on anything like that.
Yeah. Someone said, what if we don't get the postcard by tomorrow? There's no due by date on the postcards. That is misinformation that people are putting out. Just unfortunately misreading the information. There was a brief filed a few weeks ago where either the defendant or the plaintiff said that they expected through the process, through the schedule, they expected that everyone should receive their postcard by the 24th. The judge did not issue a date that they must be delivered by. That there nowhere in the documents does that exist. There's no due by date in your hands. There was a schedule for how this company, Strategic Claims Services, should contact all the brokers and get your addresses. Then there was a process for once they got those, how many days they had to mail everybody. There was no due date.
Yeah. In fact, the judge probably won't even bring it up as an issue unless someone who isn't like us, who isn't on social media, who isn't already aware of this, says, hey, I got this in the mail. I missed the period. Can I still send in a letter? And the court, depending on where they're at in the situation and when it comes, may make an exception for that person. But they're not going to like throw knives at the defense for it not appearing at a
AMC is not sending your postcards. As far as I know, your brokers are not sending your postcards. This company, SCS, is sending the postcards. It's contracted out to a company whose job it is to send out notifications and handle claims. So I got people asking me, do you think AMC is sandbagging us? No, they're not involved in the postcards.
And as to Jason, as to the judge writing her written opinion by July, we don't know for sure. What I remember from Chancery Daily saying was that usually the period is somewhere between a month to 3 months, and that she might try to get it in a month considering AMC's financial situation, but we don't know. She can take, there's recommended guidelines, and the defense and plaintiffs can poke her, but like it's more like they're guidelines rather than rules.
Doug says, who provided the list? So they SCS had to immediately write to ComputerShare and get a list of all known shareholders. That would be anybody who DRS'd. That's why those people got their postcards within the first week. And the brokers. And then all of the rest of us are beneficial owners under a broker. So after the notice went out from this third party, the brokers had 5 business days to get a list of all beneficial holders back to them. And then once they received that information, SCS had 5 more business days to process all of that and print and send out 3.8 million postcards. So by my rough estimate, that would be, and look, I don't know when they got the list. If everything went according to the judge's, the agreed upon schedule, that would put it around the 15th or 16th of May that everything should have been sent. And then you got postal delays. And I don't think, are postcards first class mail or third class?
I think it depends on what they're paying for.
Yeah, I mean, it could be received in a couple days, or it could be 10 days. I don't know how they were sent.
Yep. Yeah.
So the lag, I think all the postcards are in the mail. I hope they are. I expect they are. And I think, just my guess, that everybody will be getting them this week. I saw several people in the chat saying they got theirs this week, but 91% of you are saying that you have not gotten them. So let's see where we're at the end of this week. And then as far as anybody overseas, God help you. Now you got overseas postal delays on top of U.S. postal delays. Candace says the judge has 90 days for her decision. Yeah, that's the standard procedure at the Delaware Chancery Court, 90 days. We're hoping, due to the urgency of AMC needing to raise money, that she'll do it in July. And Chance, the lawyer, told me the whole court goes on basically vacation in August. Mm-hmm. So if we don't get it in July, might not get it till September.
Which is really pushing it, which is why I think it'll be July.
That's why I think it'll be July also.
This is also the judge that was responding to plaintiffs trying to get the settlement through while she was at a function, that function where she was giving a speech on a panel. She was responding to things on the docket. So, I mean, she seems like someone, she's going to take her time to make sure it's done right, but she's also going to she's also going to do it in a thorough manner.
We're wrapping up.
Does things by the book and make sure it gets done in a timely manner.
Aquatic Tour says he got his card today. Doug says, how many were on the list? I don't know, Doug. Around 3.8 million, I imagine, give or take. I'm hoping that, Doug, look, this third party is supposed to provide evidence of compliance to the judge by June 22nd. I'm hoping that we get to see how much they billed AMC for postage and the 3 cents per postcard. It'd be nice to see if we could get a count. But I don't know. I just know that they have to file affidavit of compliance with the judge by June 22nd, that every postcard was sent.
Just to deal with Hassel's video, I plan on having a video out tomorrow sometime. I unfortunately do not have enough people or am able to monetize, so this is not like a full-time job for me. So I work as I can. I understand some people rely on me for helping inform them and everything, and I appreciate that people trust what I say enough to do that. But unfortunately, my timetable is kind of when I can.
Someone said MULN crashed after the reverse split. Guys, MULN, I've made many videos for you talking about MULN. MULN has no income. They have no product. Of course it crashed. Plus they're diluting. Plus they have Series D convertible that are diluting. And I'm quite certain, in my opinion, that Series D conversion is still ongoing based on the filings I reviewed, which is why I made a video 10 days ago telling you the price is going to go down. And I expect on the next filing, be it a 10Q or a prospectus, that you're going to see the share count of MULN is going to be around 225 to 249 million shares. There, in my opinion, based on reading the filings, is active dilution. Whether it's David Mishery or not, he might be making it worse. But I think there is Series D conversion going on right now, and that is why the price is getting hammered. Plus, no news from Lawrence Harge, no product, no revenues. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute dumpster fire of a company. Of course, the price is going down. It has nothing to do with the reverse split. It was going to keep going down before the reverse split because they're not delivering anything. It's a train wreck until they show something.
Yep. People think that in this era of meme stocks and retail that financials don't matter. Well, eventually the birds come home to roost.
I use this example a lot, like of a scale, right? You have retail FOMO or hope, and you have the financials and the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Now, retail money and FOMO and hope in the short term, in a day or a week, you can make the price go up, or you can be the weight that matters, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you're holding something long term where the financials are a wreck, that's going to win. Retail can only overcome bad financials for a very short period, and this is why I focus my channel on the fundamentals and financials, because I don't care who is telling you what on Twitter or YouTube. It is not going to matter over the long term. You are going to lose every time to the fundamentals and the financials, because the big money, that is what they're looking at. And if they know the financials are a wreck, they have zero fear to short, sell, do whatever they need to. And I wouldn't blame them on MULN. It's a dumpster fire until something changes.
It's an elegant way of restating Benjamin Graham's old saying that in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine.
That is the genesis of my long-winded explanation.
I'm glad that we
you cannot outrun the financials, guys. I want you to focus your portfolio on companies that have a long history of profits. And if all you're investing on, if all you're listening to is people on Twitter and YouTube that are getting you into these stocks like Wisa, MULN, GTII, Bed Bath & Beyond, that have no earnings or falling earnings and negative profits, you're going to lose all of your fucking money, because these people are not talking to you about the finances, and they don't have any understanding how in the long term you are going to lose. The financials and the fundamentals will outweigh any bullshit that they put out.
Yep.
That is how it is. I'm sorry. And you cannot like that I say that. Over time, you will see this play out over and over and over.
And I would go on further to say that the most money that I've ever made in the stock market is not in these plays that everyone's chasing. It's in the little plays that nobody knows about until everybody knows about it. And you make tons of money because you're the one that knew about it before everyone else.
If you're in a FOMO play, there's nothing wrong with that. I look for them every day. Get in fucking early and get out. Stop listening to these people that say a 20-cent stock is going to $100. It's not going to happen. If you bought in at 50 cents and were able to make $5, take your win.
Yep.
Go on to the next one. Stop listening to these people.
Yeah. I mean, my last good play was and I keep harping on it because it's once again one of those ones that, you're the only one that knows about until everyone knows about it. But TIG, I got into that about late November, early December. Bought it when it was cheap, and then it got the one who had the majority stake was going to buy out the rest of the company, and then I took my money and ran. I wasn't going to wait around for the last little couple dollars.
Let's take one or two more questions. My wife just woke up from her nap, so she wants some Tony time. Okay. Hassle. I'm going to let you try and field this one first, Corax. How can somebody make money off this settlement?
How can someone make money off the settlement? Be in the arbitrage play or own APE just outright. If you're a long-term AMC person, you got APE trading at a third of the price, and it's going to be AMC. If the settlement gets approved and you're a long-term AMC holder, buy APE. It'll become AMC. You're getting a 66% discount. Or you play the arbitrage play like I'm doing, where you are long APE and you're short AMC.
I've talked about the arbitrage for many, many months now for the exact same reason. It is the smart play, like whether you want to just trade it into the conversion or hold it for long term. Let's just say Johnny walked off the street today and never bought any AMC or APE, and he wanted to hold it for 2 years. And he thinks the conversion is going to happen. And keep in mind, he wants to hold it for 2 years. He could go buy 3 APE right now or 1 AMC. He could go buy 3,000 APE or 1,000 AMC. After the conversion, he's going to have 100 APE. He's going to have, if he bought APE today, he'd have 300 AMC after the conversion. If he bought AMC today, he would have 100 AMC. You can 3x your position if you're buying APE and you're planning to hold for the long term. What's going to happen to the price over the next 1, 2, 6 months? I can't tell you. There's going to be dilution. You need to play it smart. But if you're planning to hold for the long term, APE is the obvious play to me because you're 3xing your shares. You're still a shareholder. You're still a stakeholder in the company. You're still supporting the company. And in 60 or 90 days, I think they're all going to be AMC shares. But now you got 3 times as many. You won't get the settlement, but that will not, the settlement's 13%. That's not going to outweigh 300%.
Well, and when you get down to the brass tacks of the settlement, I mean, technically it's a split. Now there's a little bit more going into that, but I mean, your position stays the same. Your cost basis stays the same. It's basically like the reverse split on the overall thing. I mean, there's going to be some changes in the price because you figure in APE in there, and that's what the benefits kind of are, is it redistributes the total value between APE and AMC. But
and if I take out any emotion or any hopium and just look at this play, like let's say there's no squeeze. Let's just run a couple scenarios. If there's no squeeze before the conversion, you're probably going to have this thing trading at around $30, $29. And so APE right now is $16 post conversion, and AMC is $50. Which one sounds like a better deal to you after the conversion? Do you want to buy the $50 stock that's going to 30 or the $16 stock that's going to 30? Now, I can't tell you for sure what the price of AMC and APE is going to do between now and July when she makes her decision. But that's kind of how a lot of us are looking at it. You got a $16 stock and you got a 50, and they're probably going to both end up around 29 or 30 in a few months. So I can't tell you what to buy, sell, hold. I don't give trading instructions. Yeah. But I will tell you what I've been doing, and that's buying APE.
I guess, and that's like the best vote for what your opinion is, how much confidence in it. If you're actually,
I can tell you, I'm happy to tell you what I'm doing. It's no secret.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what to do.
Correct. It's your money. It's your decision.
Yeah. So you have to weigh everything. You got to weigh what's going to happen with the market. What's going to happen with interest rates? Is the debt ceiling going to crash the entire market? Maybe not. Maybe now's not the right time to invest anything. Maybe you should just park your cash and wait a week. Well, there's so many things that I don't understand. I don't know about your risk tolerance. I could never tell you how to trade anything.
That's why once I get out of this arbitrage play, that's where I'm going to back to, because the 30-year is still trading at 4.3%. That's free money. A coupon at 4.3%. Gimme.
So. Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions about what I'm doing or how I'm looking at the play. But ultimately, guys, you have to put in your own work and make your own choices based on your own risk tolerance and your understanding of what's going to happen or what you think might happen. There's a lot of unknowns. The other scenario is that all of this mess forces a squeeze. And AMC, I'm going to give you the other side of the coin right now. AMC has the higher short interest by a long stretch. Mm-hmm. So which one would be more likely to run up? The one that has the higher short interest. That's something you might want to think about.
And another thing,
I don't know how it's all going to play out.
And another thing, if you're worried about the short depressing the price or anything like that on AMC, just realize that most of these shorts are going away when the arbitrage closes. And AMC can be free and clear to do what it does. Now, you might have some residual shorts because AMC is.
I don't think any shorts are closing their position after the conversion. Honestly, I don't. Why would they? I mean, the only reason I see shorts, the only reason I would see shorts closing is if AMC has a blowout Q2 and we are able to run up the price and put them in some pain. Mm-hmm. Yes. We're wrapping up, babe. I gotta, can you please come to bed soon? So, yeah, we need to wrap this up.
All right.
I
If you
don't.
need
This
to
is
go,
just
I
my
drop
opinion.
off.
I don't see the shorts closing
Mhm.
just because of conversion, because their thesis is this company's going bankrupt or that it's going to struggle for the rest of this year. The best case scenario I can tell you is let's have a beautiful Q2, have a positive earnings, get some people excited about this play, and get the price moving up and put them in some pain. Then you could force them to close by upward momentum. That's a possibility. Any other questions for Corax before we close out? I've probably said enough.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got any questions, I guess, about what I'm doing, what
Go give him a sub over
Yeah.
at a noisy Corax, and you can find him on Twitter too.
if you have any questions about like the arbitrage stuff, I know Tony's got videos, I've got videos. If you have stuff about NCMI, I've got a couple videos on that. I've been actually following the actual bankruptcy. I've got a couple of the hearings actually on there. If you want to dig deep into what's going on with that company, you can watch those. I even have some clips so you don't have to listen to the whole hour-long hearing if that bores you to tears. I know it bores me to tears.
If you're still here and you're wondering, why haven't I not been putting out daily 5 videos on AMC? Because I think at this point it's just emotions and drama. And there's not much to talk about. I'm monitoring all the filings. I'm keeping the Discord updated, by the hour as stuff drops. There's no point in me making YouTube videos because all I do is get attacked for providing facts.
And most of it's white noise right now.
And most of it is white noise. We're going to have a settlement hearing on June 29th. Everything else is just what I call mental masturbation from these people that are making money off of YouTube and whipping up your emotions. So I have no interest in the drama and emotions. We're going to have a hearing in 5 weeks. When there's factual stuff to talk about, I'll post it on Twitter or on my community tab. Or if you're a member of the Discord, you're getting frequent updates. Other than that, I'll come on YouTube and talk about AMC from time to time when it's worth dealing with all the drama of having the repercussions of people making 20 videos about me. How dare he talk about financials? Never listen to someone talking about financials.
I will say I'm a little mad that I wanted to go up to Delaware during the hearings just to sit there and see what it's like and listen to it and do stuff for YouTube. But my motion for vacation in July during the hearing was denied by my employer.
I thought you were gonna say by your wife.
I don't know. We could make a trip to Delaware interesting if I had a wife.
Frank says shorts have to pay the free settlement shares on borrowed shares and synthetics. Yeah, that brings up a good point. Someone said, someone asked me in a comment or a tweet, is AMC going to pay the settlement to all the synthetic shares? No. There's 519 million shares that will collapse down to 51.9, right? And then divide that by 7.5. That's how many shares AMC is going to distribute. That's it. They're not going to pay any bonus shares to synthetics. So if someone borrowed a share and went short and you own that share, you could say you own a synthetic, you're going to get that distribution, and the short will owe it to the lender. So the short will be on the hook for paying that money or the equivalent to the lender.
It's a little bit, if I understood from when I did research on it, it's a little different because it's owned in street name. They can trace it all the way back on the case of that. So I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, because I don't have it right in front of me, that it basically would bypass that situation. In a normal situation, like a dividend distribution, yeah, the short would be responsible for paying it back. All right. Well, I think that goes directly to the shareholder, but
send me a DM and share your thoughts. And if I need to update my thinking, that's just how I understand it. I could be wrong.
Either way, you're getting it. It doesn't matter. All we're doing is basically semantics. One way or the other, you're getting it.
You're getting your shares. Yeah. You'll get your settlement. Don't worry about it. And it's not coming out of AMC's pocket.
Yeah.
They're going to have 51.9 million shares divided by 7.5. That will be the settlement. We'll be able to trace that on the financial statements. They're not going to be paying out billions of shares. That is not going to happen. And we can verify that on the next 10Q.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, even if you want to talk about like synthetic shares or like, you know, and things like those are not real shares, they are IOUs, and the only thing that the settlement is being paid to is holders of the actual class members of the shares, which, you know, if you're the original owner and you've been lent out to, it'll go back through the system to you. So one way or another, you're getting it.
Send me your thoughts on DM, and I'm happy to revise, you know, my understanding of it. Exactly. If I got it wrong, we can talk about it.
I think that's one thing about me and Tony is like, if we're wrong, you send us something, cool. We'll own that we're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem saying I'm wrong. Just don't. If your only comment is clown, well, that's going to be a delete and block. But if you have a legitimate discussion and you can do it like an adult, I'm always happy to do that, and I do it all day. Talk with people that disagree with me that can do it in an adult manner. It's unfortunate that so many have gotten blocked forever because they can't comport, is that the right word, themselves as an adult?
Yeah, that sounds accurate. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, Corax, thank you for your time.
Of course.
Mods tonight, thank you for your time. Members of the channel, thank you for supporting the channel. And yeah, Corax, thank you for showing me how not to spend $100 a week of my subscribers.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten that. Thought about that sooner.
Bringing up these damn court documents.
Yeah,
that is like, irritating.
Like a lot of those things, just like for anyone out there, it's all cookie based.
I'm happy to do it. I spend whatever money I need to bring you guys timely and factual information.
Same. I do the same with Pacer.
I was looking at Pacer today. It looks like it might actually be a little cheaper.
It is, because they like
$3 per document maximum is
maximum. Yes, I know, right? It's great.
Anyways, guys, Fickle Pickle Tickler says your narrative has changed a few times in this stream. I don't know. I think my narrative has been very consistent for a long time. I was holding for a squeeze in 2021, but we had $2 billion in cash, and retail had a lot of money, and we weren't in an economic meltdown with rising interest rates. Read the room, read the economy.
Yep.
Read the financial statements. More importantly, we're not in 2021, guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. Why was the Marine giving me a hard time on Twitter? Every time I try and have a conversation with him about the fundamentals or the financials, his only answer is insults. And that's, you know, there's a lot of people like that. They don't want to talk about financials. They've got their core belief that everything is hinged on something they can't prove. And they don't want to talk to me about why I am looking at the financials or the fundamentals. That play after play, I run into that. This is not the only stock I cover. It's not the only stock I spend hours a day looking into. I run into this in every stock I cover. People have their deep-rooted beliefs that they can't back up with any evidence, and they hate that I talk about the fundamentals or dilution or filings because it upsets their core beliefs. But everything always comes back to fundamentals and financials, and that is where we're at in May of 2023. So that's what I'm focusing on. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed night. Be good to one another. Remember, we're all here for the same reason, to make money. Whether you hold AMC or APE, you are a stakeholder in the company. And I pray that you all have the same goal, to make money in the play. And I'm going to close by saying it is unfortunate, and I will keep pushing back on people that are pushing for this narrative of AMC losing, which I think will put a chokehold on their ability to raise money and embolden the shorts. That's how I'm approaching this right now. So I will continue to push back with facts, financials, fundamentals, why it's important for AMC to have the ability to raise money in the short term. Yes, it could be not great for shareholders. Dilution's often not great, but bankruptcy is the alternative. Cineworld shareholders are getting wiped out. Bed Bath & Beyond shareholders are about to get wiped out. That could be your future if this company has no ability to raise money. Thank you, Corax. Thank you. Love you guys. Have a good night.
Catch you later.